northern Pakistan called Zawi-Siji. As the sun began to set on July 6, 2012, a number of men in the village gathered to eat dinner under a tent. Some residents noticed drones circling above them in the sky. Suddenly, they heard the sound of missiles rushing toward them. The missiles struck the tent, creating an explosion of gases moving at thousands of feet per second. The force of the blast killed at least 8 people, witnesses said. Neighbors rushed to help and found a blast site littered with severed body parts. The people tried to collect their bodies. Some were carrying stretchers, blankets, and water. A witness, Junaid, would later tell an investigator with the human rights group Amnesty International. Witnesses said minutes after the first attack, while people scrambled to help the injured and the dead, the drones fired a second volley at the site, killing some of those responding to help. At least 6 people died in the second strike. The final death toll would rise to 18, including, according to witnesses, a 14-year-old boy named Saleh Khan, who sold wood in the town. More than 20 others were wounded. The bodies were burnt and it was not possible to recognize them, said Nabil, another villager. In the big picture of the Obama administration's war on terror, the missile strike was fairly routine. Zawi-Siji was in the Waziristan region bordering Afghanistan. To terror networks like the Taliban, crossing the Afghanistan-Pakistan border was an essential part of their strategy to strike in Afghanistan, then slip back over the border to safety in Pakistan. To counter that tactic, the Obama administration had adopted and expanded a program known as signature strikes. Missiles were fired from CIA drones even when U.S. counterterrorism officials did not know the identities of the people they were killing. Instead, analysts working with classified information gathered evidence about the types of activity they observed, their signatures, to be confident the target was a terrorist hotspot. U.S. intelligence had concluded the tent at Zawi-Siji was a meeting point for militants. In the moral calculus of the U.S. drone program, that made it an acceptable target. Due to the inaccessibility and danger for Westerners to travel to such areas, it was often hard for the rest of the world to learn the details about drone strikes, which is why most of the available information about what happened that day comes from Amnesty International. Villagers told the human rights group that those killed were not Taliban fighters, but farmers and miners. Counterterrorism officials were confident in the accuracy of their intelligence. Within hours, news agencies issued the first public reports about the drone strike. U.S. drone strike kills 4 militants in Pakistan. The first Associated Press headline read. Dateline from Pakistan's capital, Islamabad. The story began, Pakistani intelligence officials say missiles fired by a U.S. drone have killed at least 4 suspected militants near the Afghan border. The U.S. government kept the drone strike program highly classified. Even using the word drone was considered a serious violation of the classification rules. Senior staff of the U.S. Embassy in Islamabad were closely involved in the CIA's drone strikes. Such remote-controlled missile strikes were deeply unpopular in Pakistan, and in order to try to manage the diplomatic and political aftershocks of such strikes, the senior State Department official in the country, either the ambassador or whoever was acting in his or her stead when they were away, had to give the okay. The U.S. Embassy also was under strict orders to keep their superiors at the State Department in Washington, D.C., up to date at all times on developments that could affect their relationships with the governments of Pakistan and Afghanistan. The July 6th strike was particularly important to the State Department because just 3 days earlier, Secretary of State Hillary Clinton had issued an apology.